The desert was dying beneath the August sun, and every breath of wind carried dust across the endless Texas frontier. But before we begin, if you enjoy emotional Western stories filled with mystery, courage, and unexpected love, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who loves Old West stories, and subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable tales. Now let's get started. In the summer of 1887, a lonely cowboy named Cole Morgan rode across the dry plains searching for a missing herd when he noticed something strange near a cluster of rocks. At first, he thought it was a torn blanket caught in the wind. Then he saw a hand. Cole immediately spurred his horse forward. A young woman lay unconscious beneath the burning sun. Her dress covered in dust, her lips cracked from thirst. Cole jumped from his saddle and knelt beside her. "Miss, can you hear me?" he asked. Her eyes slowly opened, but instead of answering, she stared at him with sudden fear. "Water," she whispered. Cole gave her his canteen, supporting her carefully as she drank. He noticed bruises on her wrist and a small leather bag tied tightly around her waist. "Who did this to you?" he asked. The woman looked toward the distant horizon. "They're coming," she whispered. "Who?" Cole asked. But before she could answer, her eyes closed again. Cole knew leaving her there meant certain death, so he lifted her onto his horse and rode toward his isolated ranch. His ranch was small, surrounded by nothing but mesquite trees, dry grass, and miles of open country. He had lived there alone for nearly 6 years after, losing his younger brother in a cattle raid. Cole rarely trusted strangers, but something about this woman made him feel responsible for her. At the ranch, he carried her inside and placed her on his bed. An hour later, she woke. "Where am I?" she asked. "My ranch," Cole replied. "You were dying in the desert." She looked around nervously. "What's your name?" Cole asked. The woman hesitated. "Evelyn." "Evelyn what?" She looked away. "Just Evelyn." Cole frowned but did not push her. He brought her soup and clean clothes. Over the next 2 days, Evelyn slowly regained her strength. Yet Cole noticed she never went near the windows, and every distant sound made her tense. On the third night, Cole heard a horse approaching. He stepped outside and saw 3 riders stopping near the fence. One man shouted, "We're looking for a woman! She may have passed this way." Cole rested one hand near his gun but kept his voice calm. "Haven't seen anyone." The leader studied him. "If you find her, tell her there's nowhere she can hide." The riders eventually turned away. Cole waited until they disappeared into the darkness before returning inside. Evelyn stood in the hallway trembling. "You lied for me," she whispered. "I don't know why," Cole answered. "But I know those men frightened you." Evelyn lowered her eyes. "They killed my father." Cole said nothing. She continued, "My father owned a large ranch in New Mexico. He discovered that a wealthy landowner named Silas Vane had been stealing cattle and forcing families from their land. My father kept evidence against him. Silas wanted that evidence destroyed." She touched the leather bag around her waist. "It's all here." Cole stared at the bag. "Then why come to Texas?" "Because I was told there was one man Silas feared." Cole looked confused. "Who?" Evelyn slowly raised her eyes toward him. "You." Cole froze. "Me?" She nodded. "My father told me about Cole Morgan. He said you once stood against Silas when no one else would. He said you were the only man honest, enough to protect the truth." Cole remembered the incident. Years earlier, he had exposed Silas's cattle theft, but Silas had escaped punishment through powerful friends. Cole had forgotten the matter. Evelyn had not. "Why didn't you tell me my name when I found you?" he asked. Her voice softened. "Because I needed to know whether the man I heard about was real." Before Cole could respond, gunshots cracked through the night. Bullets struck the wooden wall. Cole pushed Evelyn behind the kitchen counter and grabbed his rifle. "Stay down." He moved outside, through the back door, and used the darkness to reach the barn. 3 men were approaching the house. Cole fired warning shots into the dirt, forcing them behind their horses. One man raised his rifle, but Cole knocked it away with a well-placed shot. The attackers fled into the darkness. By morning, Cole knew they would return with more men. He and Evelyn prepared to leave the ranch. But before they could saddle the horses, a 4th rider appeared on the road. It was the local marshal carrying a warrant for Silas Vane's arrest. Evelyn handed him the leather bag. Inside were signed documents, cattle records, and letters proving Silas's crimes. The marshal stared at the evidence in disbelief. This is enough to bring him down. Weeks later, Silas was arrested, and the families he had threatened finally received justice. Evelyn could have returned to her father's ranch, but she chose to remain in Texas. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the hills, she stood beside Cole on the porch. "You know," she said quietly, "when I first saw you in the desert, I thought I was seeing a ghost." Cole smiled. "Why?" Evelyn looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Because my father described you exactly as you were." Cole looked toward the horizon. "And now?" She smiled. "Now I think he was wrong about one thing." "What's that?" "He said you were a lonely man who trusted nobody." Cole looked at her. "Maybe I was." Evelyn stepped closer. "Not anymore." For the first time in years, Cole felt the silence of his ranch differently. It no longer felt empty. It felt like home. And every evening after that, when the desert wind crossed the porch, Cole remembered the day he found a woman alone beneath the burning sun. She had been lost, frightened, and nearly forgotten. But when she finally whispered his name, she had unknowingly changed his life forever. The cowboy who once believed he had nothing left to protect had discovered something worth fighting for. Not gold, not land, and not revenge, but the woman who had trusted him when the whole world had turned against her. And sometimes on the American frontier, the greatest treasure a man could find was not buried beneath the desert at all. It was waiting beside him, quietly reminding him that even the loneliest heart could find its way home. If you enjoyed this emotional Old West story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Western stories filled with mystery, courage, and unforgettable characters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.